Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Yay! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm spiritual medium, Kelly White. Hi,
And
everybody.
as per usual, our wonderful guy, John, is here.
Hey, ladies. Happy to be here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Happy belated Passover and happy Easter to everybody. And happy Earth Day today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day. Wow. Lots going on.
Kel, why don't you tell us what's going on with this beautiful planet?
A lot, Cheryl. A lot.
Oh, I know that.
A lot's
Kel.
going on. Oh, my God. And, next week we're going to have a guest who's an astrologer. And I can't wait because she'll have a lot more details than I'm providing.
Yeah.
But, we've got a very intense time now and for the next several weeks. Probably for the next few months, really. But starting on Wednesday, as I've been saying, Pluto goes retrograde in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is fierce. And Capricorn is about power, and it's about misuse of power. So, and this lasts until October 3rd. And so Capricorn is in Pluto is going to deal with things such as your business, your career, your power of influence, and financial dealings. Okay. And when it turns retrograde, there are going to be many issues that surface that we might have to backtrack to determine the details of all the situations. So because it's going retrograde, it's also at the same time, it's complex energy. Pluto is complex. And so it could hang heavy in the air actually about this. It's just going to be a very intense time. Surprise elements could happen. And then at the same time on the 29th, Saturn also in Capricorn turns retrograde, and that's going to stay that way till September 18th. So I'm talking about till October. We've got some situations here.
So all summer.
Oh, for sure. Saturn retrograde, it's about responsibility. Like, what am I responsibility for? What are you responsible for? Dealing with commitments. Do I want to do this anymore? Making changes, deep changes in yourself. As I've said from the beginning of the year, this time is all about you. It's really about how do you see yourself? How do you want to take care of yourself? What's good for you? What's not good for you? These planets retrograde are going to make us change. It will make transition because you'll be pushed into a corner one way or the other, the fork in the road. I have to go left or I have to go right. And it's all for our growth. So all of this is good because it's all for the growth of our soul.
Good.
Absolutely. And again, why do we come here? We come here for the growth of our soul.
Wow.
Do we come here to get? No,
can't we just all get along and just?
We come here for punishment.
Relax and just
no such
have fun. Just go to concerts all the time. Can't we just do that?
Absolutely, we can put that in our day-to-day activities. Sure, I know that's what you like to do. But
yes, I do.
It is. It's an interesting time that we're living in right now. And boy, I'll tell you something so fascinating to me. All these babies are here. I watched the Today Show, and this morning, Jenna Bush, who I just love, is having a baby boy, and she has two girls, and Hoda just adopted another baby. And the only reason I go there is my daughter's having another baby, and it's very exciting to see all these new babies coming out. And I always ask myself the same thing, wow. There are a lot of babies coming. What does that mean, Kelly? Well, I'll tell you what it means, Cheryl. It's now that you've asked. A lot of babies want to be here. A lot of souls want to be here because they're bringing in light, number one. They have new information, number two. They're bringing in all kinds of new ways of thinking, how to take care of the earth, how to take care of what about technology. They're going to be really sensitive, interesting beings here. So it's a very exciting time. And they all wanted to be here to help really Earth, to help this dimension.
Wow. Well, we certainly need it, don't we?
We sure do need it. Boy, that's an understatement. We sure do need it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So having said that, let's talk about our topic, which is very interesting.
Which is, I mean, it helps to know that there's going to be changes so many changes, which, the brain likes what's familiar, so change isn't always welcomed, but it certainly is necessary. And I think in hindsight, those are the things that catapult people to do something different if you're stuck. It's very hard to you have to have a lot of determination to do it on your own. Sometimes people need to be pushed to do stuff.
Well, it's funny you said that. These planetary influences will do the pushing.
Yeah. So no, I really see that as a good thing, as you were saying. But we were talking about, our topic today is depression, because so many people feel depressed. And I know that I was, it's a diagnosis called dysthymia, which means that you just have a low-grade depression and ongoing. Yeah. Usually when you get diagnosed with something, it has to be there like for 6 months. But dysthymia is an ongoing, just kind of low level, and we'll talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say from a spiritual standpoint, what that is. And from a somatic standpoint, there's something about that as well. But according to the Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders, just so we can get a baseline going with this discussion, is you're considered depressed if you have at least 5 of the following symptoms that represent a change in your life. So not how you've always felt, but that represent a change. So a depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day. Markedly diminished interest and pleasure in all or almost all of the activities that you used to enjoy. Significant weight loss when not dieting, or weight gain, or a decrease in appetite or an increase in appetite. It can go either way. Insomnia or sleeping too much. Psychomotor agitation, meaning feeling more agitated. Your fuse is a lot shorter, or psychomotor retardation, meaning that your movements, if you're one to have a lot of body movement, speak with your hands, that's going to be dimmed a lot. Fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt. Diminished ability to think or concentrate, or indecisiveness. And recurrent thoughts of death, recurrent suicide ideation, or suicide attempt, or a specific plan for committing suicide.
So this kind of runs the gamut then, from you can have a little bit of some of the symptoms, or all the way full force.
Right. So it runs on a continuum. And you don't have to have them all. And, we need to understand about any kind of symptom like depression or anxiety or anything, is that it's all human behavior. So we all feel it every so often. It's when it really hits you and it almost stops you from living your day-to-day life. You call in sick to work, not because you're necessarily sick, but you just can't muster up enough energy to go. That kind of thing. Yeah. And the things that can cause it are certainly a shock in your life, like the death of a loved one, or it could be a symptom of PTSD if you had a really bad car accident, or you were assaulted, or a trauma. The trauma can certainly cause depression.
Or a breakup, a divorce, a breakup.
Yeah.
That's a big one. All kinds of reasons why people can get depressed.
Yeah. But from a spiritual standpoint, I'd love to hear more about that piece of it. Like, what does depression signify from a spiritual standpoint?
So I'm going to answer that because it's such a great question. And I work with people on this often, as you do. What we do, Cheryl, is not easy. But I thought what I would do.
So satisfying, isn't it?
It is very satisfying. Yeah. So I love to help people out of a depression, actually. But what I want to start with is my own personal experience when I had my traumatic brain injury. Because before 2000, when I had my traumatic brain injury, I had anxiety and I had depression. I had both. They kind of come together. Sometimes you just have one, or sometimes you have, the other. But after my head injury and I started connecting to the other side, I never had it again. Now, don't you find that odd? I never had it again. I mean, I've been in grief. I've had all kinds of things, but
so that's what I mean. So how would you determine the difference between when you feel depressed or grief, or having depression like before your head injury?
Well, grief, in my case, and when my mother passed away, I was really in deep grief. As you were in grief, I was in deep grief. And I've pulled out of that a lot. I've really pulled out of that a lot. But depression was like a low line kind of energy it would just kind of pull me down, and I would just, I mean, I sound redundant. I was depressed. I would have those moments, just of, I don't even know how to explain it, just down energy.
I see. So the difference that you're making is that now when something very specific, like the death of your mother, causes you to grief, but before it would just kind of show up every so often.
It would just show up. It would just show up, and anxiety would show up. It would be both, but this went on my whole life, for a long time, 40 years. And then I had this head injury. It's the damnedest thing. I start connecting to the other side. I'm seeing dead people and all of the things that went along with my head injury. Never felt it again.
And you're saying you never felt it after you started to see dead people? Because I'd be so freaked out.
Yeah, you'd think. No, but it never made me depressed or anxious. But what's interesting is I feel, because I connected so deeply to God or to the universe, to spirit, whatever the word you want to use for that, that I know that this is temporary, that we're here. And I know that I'll see my loved ones again. And I know that whatever the day-to-day minutia that goes on in everybody's life, including my life, you just I've learned to deal with it. It was something about the head injury. Now, I don't expect anybody to go out and hit their head. Please do not do that.
Do not try this at home.
No, it's about the connection to source, the connection to spirit that I feel on a daily basis all the time. Now, I do meditate a lot, and I'll go through my routine of what I do. But from a spiritual perspective, if I really look deep into that, it's a disruption of vital life energy.
Yeah.
When you're depressed for whatever. Now, when we come to this dimension, we're going to get hit. And I know I sound like, so redundant again. I've said it so many times, but there's all kinds of things we're here to learn. So in order to learn the deep lessons, you're going to get hit with something. Something traumatic will happen. You'll have loss. You'll have this. You'll have that. You won't get what you thought you wanted to get. All of these things are going to happen, but they happen for a reason. They happen for us so we can get over that hurdle and get on to the next hurdle. Because, there's always a hurdle there. Always going to be something. I just don't know what's behind that corner, but it's always going to be something to learn about. But it's all about energy. And what happens is in our physical body, the energy that comes in, so we have all this energy, and once, let's say we don't get what we want, whatever that would be, a certain boyfriend, a job, I don't know, a family member, something, and it gets us down. We get it literally, anything could happen to bring down our vital life force. And so it's like energy is governed by consciousness. So the consciousness of all of us has to be awake. We have to be very aware of our own energy. And so, like, you need energy to move a muscle. You need energy, for a thought. You need energy transmitters to do their job, neurotransmitters to do. They need energy. So it's something about, it's like divine energy has the creative potential to shape the universe as well as our own reality. That's an important statement because it's once you get into a spiritual place, and yes, things are going to happen in life. Things do happen in life. But, people with faith or that have high faith, it's amazing how they can get through these different things. And that's what happened to me. Not because I chose this religious path. I certainly did not. As I've said many times, my father was Jewish. My mother was Southern Baptist. That was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. At the time growing up, it was a bit strange. But what's important about that is I don't come from a dogmatic place. I come from true faith. I actually believe and know what I know, on the other side. And that helps my energy. But it's all about replenishing yourself, because so you're down. Let's acknowledge that you're down, that your vital life force is down. That's all. It's just vital life force, but it's important because you need the vital life force. And in order to bring it up, there are certain exercises that you can do there. Find a purpose. So I have a purpose. Surely you have a purpose. Finding a purpose pulls you out of a depression. Actually. Get that joy, that spark of joy back. Like, I love doing readings for people because at joy, I'm connected and I'm like right back there. And it makes me feel really good and I enjoy it. I love doing it. But that seems to be my life path, and so I know I'm on my life path. So for me, it brings me a lot of joy. So you've got to find your purpose in life. That's really critical. You need a purpose. Everybody needs a freaking purpose, because maybe your purpose is to explore this lifetime, that would mean go out and have adventures. I mean, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then anything that keeps you motivated, you want to stay motivated. So you have a reason to get up, and you want to stay focused and you want to stay connected. When I say connected, I mean connected to the universe, to why you incarnated. Think about it. So I love that Joanne is asking the question. This sounds silly. Can you be depressed and not even realize it?
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, Joanne, my favorite question. Shirley, how many times have I looked at somebody and got, you're depressed? And they're like, huh?
What?
Like, what?
Well, that's how I felt. If you don't have anything to compare it to, like when I first started therapy and they said, I said, if you diagnose me with something, because of course my left brain needs to know.
Right.
And she said, probably dysthymia. And I went, what's that? Low level depression. I went, what? I'm not depressed, but I had never felt different. So I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Wait a minute. So
when you talk about joy.
You were actually diagnosed with low level dysthymia, low level depression.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you didn't know it. You had no idea.
No, because when you have never felt joy, what you're talking about, how can you know the difference?
Oh, that's her question. That's Joanne's question. How? Yeah. Really?
You don't have anything to compare it to. Now, I've had, we have a question. Would you recommend any essential oils, essences to help with depression?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love essential oils. Smell is a huge one for depression because, anything, I love lemon and anything lemon scented. Boy, you can't be depressed and smell lemon. It's not possible. It lifts you right up and out.
That's hilarious.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. I like
it's a trick. I do that all the time, Roxy. I love it. But getting back to your depression, Joy, so you had a low level because you had never realized that you had actually.
I never realized because I didn't know what the other felt like. And that's why I do what I do. I've discovered what helps me feel that joy. And so then I do it. And when I'm doing it, like going to concerts, I absolutely love going to concerts. You know that.
Right. I do.
So when I go and I listen to the music, I really let it in and I'm really taking notice somatically what I'm feeling. And that just pulls me, and that I can tell the difference of how I used to feel to how I feel in that moment. I remember I went to go see Andrea Bocelli. I closed my eyes and my whole body was vibrating. His voice and just the, how he sings, or I don't know the tone, or I don't know the exact verbiage on that, but I could feel it in my body. And so it's looking to your point where you're saying is know the things that bring you joy and go do them. And even if you feel them in moments, you're interrupting the circuitry of the depression.
So
even if it's just for a moment.
Would you say that currently when let's say you go to a concert and all of a sudden you're feeling really good, how long will that good feeling feel? And if you recognize that you're about, do you know the difference now when you start to slip? I'm curious.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
And my baseline has changed. In all the therapy that I've done in somatic therapy, it's interesting that you talk about how it's a life force issue from a spiritual standpoint, but it also is from a somatic and neurobiological standpoint. It's your life force that's been depressed. Yes. And so when you go to therapy, particularly somatic therapy, your baseline, all of a sudden I went from this was my baseline to this. So now if I dip, I can tell when I dip. And if I go higher, I can tell when I go higher, but my baseline has shifted.
Interesting. Yeah.
And the life force, Dr. Peter Levine talks a lot about sometimes suppressing rage and anger, which turned out to be my issue, can cause you to feel depressed because you've turned it around and you've kind of pushed it inward.
Yeah.
So people are so afraid, and we'll do a show about maybe even just about anger. People are so afraid of anger, and they, it's the 4-letter word you're not supposed to feel. Even sometimes, like the Dalai Lama, who's my absolute favorite, and I've always used him as my resource, will say anger, if you feel anger, you're not supposed to feel anger, but you should. It's a healthy emotion to feel. It's how we behave with anger. And suppressed anger sometimes could cause us to feel depressed because we're not feeling it.
Well, and we're not doing something about the anger. Meaning
anger's life force.
So if you were to address your anger, or if you were to address whatever is going on, that lifts your vital life force back up again.
Exactly. It's vital life force, and once you work through it, then you start to feel more alive, which is what depression suppresses, is your feeling of aliveness. So let's see. Carol, hello from Texas. Hi. I'm doing this with music now. I love it. I was having horrible side effects from the pills. That is so interesting that you've been using music to kind of pull yourself out of these side effects.
Sometimes medication, and I am pro medication, and I'm also pro homeopathy.
Absolutely.
I want to say it both ways, whatever seems to work. But often, no, I shouldn't say often, but sometimes medication actually suppresses the vital life force, and it keeps them in that same state.
Well, that's the only thing, you're absolutely right. That's the only thing that I don't like about medication, is sometimes you're just suppressing the symptoms so you can't really work on them. However, if somebody comes and they're so depressed, or I usually, suggest it more for anxiety, and I'm just helping someone keep their head above water, then I can't get in there and I'm not doing deeper work.
Oh, boy, good question. Elizabeth says, is it 100% anxiety goes hand in hand with depression? I think so. What do you say, Shirley? Well, I don't know if it's 100%, but it sure seems like it.
I'm not sure, Elizabeth, what you mean by goes hand in hand, but certainly sometimes you have a lot of anxiety because you're suppressing emotions that you don't want to feel. Sometimes you have depression because you're suppressing emotions. So it could be, they're both very different. Depression and anxiety obviously feel very, very different. So I'm not sure what you mean by, do they go hand in hand?
I know what she means, because I had both. So you may not have had that.
But you feel them at the same time, you mean?
Yes. I would be down and I'd be anxious, and I'd be down, I'd be anxious. It's the damnedest thing ever. So I understand that. So maybe, Cheryl, when you had dysthymia, you didn't have any anxiety?
Mm-mm.
Wow. See, that surprises me.
Yeah.
So I guess we're two different experiences here.
Yeah. I don't really have anxiety. It's like, I don't, if a worry thought comes in, I'm like, all right, it'll fix itself.
Isn't the human nature just fascinating?
Yeah.
Because I would get both.
Really, that's so fascinating. What I remember, though, it can hit in a second. I remember I was on an airplane and it dipped, and I'm not afraid of flying. I mean, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go. I'm just not afraid of anything like that. But it dipped, and the first thing, Sydney, came to my mind. And I started to, and I could almost tell that I went into a panic attack. And I remember I just texted her and I said, I love you, sweetheart. And the guy next to me, he goes, are you telling your daughter that there's one? And I go, no, I'm just in case she would have that as the last thing, And I remember I could have almost gone into a panic attack, and I used my SE techniques to not go there. So in that moment, just because, when an airplane dips, I mean, it can be really, really scary.
It's very jarring, sure.
Yeah. So I've had moments of feeling it and feeling almost panic attack. Yeah.
So I love her, Joanne. I love your comment. I'm grateful and blessed, but I can't seem to get out of my own way lately. Well, I understand.
We all have that once in a while. Yeah.
We all have that. If you can look at it in the moment, you're just currently, use the term currently. Judy, you too, honey.
Hi,
I love Judy. Hi, Judy. If you can look at it in the moment, currently, I love the word currently. Currently, this is how I feel, because it shifts the state. So Elizabeth says, my doc said that if you have anxiety, it stems from depression, but I'm iffy on that.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think what you were saying, Kelly, about noticing what you're noticing in that moment. Thich Nhat Hanh has such a beautiful way of describing anything that we're feeling. He says, if you look at it from the energy of depression is flowing through me right now, or the emotion of anger is flowing through me right now, it helps you kind of separate yourself from it. So I'm not depressed. It's the energy of depression that I'm noticing.
Yes.
So beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then you could move through that, actually. So let's use that phrase, because I love it. The energy of depression. Well, with anxiety, I mean, it is a funny thing. Is anxiety depression that's trying to get your vital life force back up? Like depression is turned inward. We've got anger turned inward, but the energy of anxiety is going like, help me kind of thing.
I don't know. And I don't know if what's underneath depression is anxiety. I mean, anxiety is fear. So, you can have a lot of anxiety because you don't want to feel anger is a lot of what I uncover when I'm working with people. That anxiety just comes because you're trying so hard. It's like a pressure cooker. You're trying so hard to suppress emotions or hurt or, disappointment. And I think that that depression is kind of works in a similar way. So maybe that's the question. Do they both work in a similar way to not, to not help you feel what you're,
Well, they both work in a similar way with as far as vital life force goes. Yeah. Because it's one is a fear. Anxiety is great fear. Fear. Oh God, what's going to happen? I mean, if you really look down at it, and depression is I can't bear to look. Well, I can't bear to feel.
Yeah. And it can also just be profound sadness. I mean, profound sadness.
Oh, absolutely. Depression certainly can be. But just that kind of general malaise of, I just don't know what to do with my life, or if I just feel stuck. If you can kind of separate yourself from that and just say, okay, currently I feel stuck or currently. And then also one of the things, look at your environment. Let's say you have general malaise or you are depressed. Look at your environment. Now, if it's you need uncluttered, it needs to be uncluttered. Clutter is energy, and it just kind of pushes everything in. Yeah, it is a vicious cycle. Joanne says, if I don't feel well physically, then it makes me anxious. Then I'm anxious, so it makes me depressed. Oh boy, you need a remedy.
So that's just a cycle.
That's just a cycle.
That's just going into a cycle. I like the emoji of the face. But it can feel that way. It can feel like you're going crazy. Because you're noticing it and asking it also, is it a message? Emotions are the way our bodies communicate with our mind. So if I'm anxious, or if you're anxious, you might want to ask, what are you, what are you trying to communicate with me, and sit in it. What does the anxiety feel like? Does it feel like your heart pounding fast? Does it feel like butterflies in your stomach, or depression? When I first started to figure out what I was feeling, because I had no clue, because I'd suppressed it so much, I thought, okay, what am I feeling somatically? Oh, I'm feeling heaviness in my chest. And then, maybe that's sadness. Maybe that's depression. Maybe that's, so to be curious about it and say, okay, what is the message here?
Right, exactly, because they're going to have it's a message. What am I anxious about? What am I depressed about? But so it's one of the things that you can do too is change your lifestyle to like eating a light diet. That seems to help a lot. Eating a lighter diet as opposed to a heavier diet that makes you very depressed, but eating a lighter diet and changing your lifestyle. Get up, go outside, get some fresh air. Go for a walk, breathe, try some yoga, try some meditation. All of these things get you out of your own way.
I always tell people that if you're so depressed and lack of energy, don't set yourself up to fail. Don't think, okay, I'm going to go and walk for 30 minutes. Just think about walking to the corner and then back. That's it. Just start with that. Because otherwise we set ourselves up to fail and it becomes too overwhelming. I would just do one little thing, or open your front door and let the air in. Just that, and then get through each little step.
Because you can actually move through depression, and you can move through it. I mean, if anything, I want to give everybody hope out there. You can move through it. You can move through pretty much anything.
Absolutely. It's important also to, like they teach us in, Psych 101, is to rule out everything medical. Hormones can really cause, there's an imbalance in hormones that can cause us to feel depressed, and regulating the hormones can all of a sudden pull you out of a depression. So rule out everything medical.
And one of the things, the reason your environment is really important, you want to, especially if it's cluttered, because it could remind you of things like past hurts, wounds, resentment, trauma. Maybe you need to cut some ties so you can move on again. And redecorate your home. Anything that kind of changes the energy, anything that changes the energy will help you with your energy and pull you back up.
Yeah. Know that your home and or like a kid's room, whatever place is yours, whatever it looks like is kind of an outside metaphor for how you feel inside in your mind.
Yeah.
So people who, hoard, that's an indication of what's going on inside their mind. Yeah. So Carol is saying, I have both severe panic attacks while driving and riding in a car. and also flying. I now take Klonopin. I drive alone now on the freeway and also flying, and I let my husband drive now.
Well, I know Klonopin.
Yeah.
And sometimes it helps, and sometimes it's a bit much.
Yeah.
But, severe panic attack. I mean, I'm assuming, Carol, you were in an accident. Maybe I shouldn't assume that, but I'm going to. I'd love to do a reading for you, Carol. If you want to call in, I'd be happy to talk you through some of this stuff. If that's a possibility.
I think if there's any trauma, I mean, panic attacks and can be a result of trauma, and you can really work through it somatically as well. But when there's panic attacks, you need to engage the thinking part of your brain. What happens is that with high anxiety or high anger, the thinking part of the brain goes offline, and you're just coming from your emotional brain. So when you're driving, if you notice yourself starting to get anxious, or when you're flying in an airplane, read. That engages the thinking part of your brain. So as you're driving, read the street signs, read the restaurant signs, read the license plates. That engages this part of the brain. And people who have a fear of flying, I always say, take a very boring magazine, like, computer magazines, which just put me to sleep. Not something that's going to excite you, because that's going to add to the anxiety. And just start reading it, even if you're not understanding what you're reading. But the fact, just the mere fact of reading words causes you to for the thinking part of your brain to stay online, and that will help reduce the anxiety.
Christina, I love what you've just said. I've gotten through it, depression and anxiety, and I'll never go back as low, sad as I once was. You can get through it. Right on,
thanks,
sister.
Christina.
So true. You can get over it. It's actually getting enough energy, if you can, to separate yourself from what's going on. Vital life force. Get your vital life force back up. And there are a lot of ways to do that. But absolutely, if I didn't believe in that, and of course, it's true.
And
all of
I'm a walking example of that.
Yes, and I am too.
Yeah.
And I had the double dose. I had both.
You had both.
I had both.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, years ago, gosh, so many years ago, I was in a plane accident years ago.
Oh my!
And,
I know that.
In oh golly, I want to say 78, 79, something like that. 79. It was 79. Yeah, in Hawaii. It was a nightmare. But I only say that because I never knew how I was going to get back on a plane after that. And I remember my mom was like, well, of course, we had Valium back in those days. You take this and you get on the next plane. And, anyway, whatever. I get on the next plane. And I have to tell you, I didn't know how I was ever going to ever get on, fly again. But I read this thing, and it's so true. Edgar Cayce says, whenever you get on a plane, he's a long time ago, he's long gone, but a great medium and in health. He's an extraordinary psychic, extraordinary. And he said, when you get on a plane, you look at anybody or a train or wherever you are, and you look and see, do they have auras? And so I taught myself how to read auras. I could read auras like this now, because as a result of my own great fear of getting on a plane, see? But what I do is, if you really, let's say, those planes and you're sitting right behind somebody, look up. Do you see any light radiating from their head? I swear to God, anybody could see that. You just kind of look. And I just mean, relax your eyes a bit and look. You'll be just fine.
And so in other words, if you saw dark auras around everybody, then that means this plane's going down?
It means, excuse me, I need to get off.
Wow.
And
okay.
Obviously, and by the way, obviously, if you're meant to go that way, you're going to go that way. But
I'm trying to look over your head and see your aura, Kelly, but I can't.
Yeah, it's kind of. I could see some light shining from your glasses.
I'm trying to relax. Yeah, well, that if I take my glasses off, I see blur.
No, but anyway, I even overcame that fear. So anybody can overcome things.
Yeah. Now, John, do we have any callers?
Is John there?
I am here, ladies, and we do have some calls. Are you ready to take some?
Susie, I hear you. Susie, I hear you. I want a cure. I'm tired of dealing with this. Been through years of therapy, 2 hospital stays, no fun living like this. Find a somatic therapist. Find a therapist who's trained in somatic experiencing. Go to the Somatic Experiencing Institute. Can you put up the link, John? Okay. And it'll say there's a thing that you push to find a practitioner
in your area. Yeah, that's amazing. That and a homeopathy, and Dr. Gramlich for homeopathy is amazing. So John, maybe you'll put that up too, because both of those work really, really well. So would you like us to take a call, John?
Yeah, are you ready to take some?
We are.
All right, so here we go. We have area code 402 on the line. 402. You're on the line. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from? And just speak loud into your phone and no speakerphones, please.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm from Omaha.
Hi, Melissa from Omaha. Melissa, what's your birth date?
12/26/76.
So how old are you exactly?
42.
Oh, well, that's a good time. So I'll explain that in a second. So first of all, what question do you have? And then if you don't have any question, I'll launch into some things. Do you have a particular question?
I've just been feeling really lost in my life lately. Like when you said sometimes people don't know they have depression, I feel like I didn't know that I had it, but I think that I do have it because I'm just not happy with anything.
Oh, interesting. You come in to have experiences on the emotional level. So we can view this as currently your state is you don't know, you're kind of down. Is that about right? Kind of general malaise?
Yeah.
Okay. As we get into, you're 42, you're going to be 43. Life starts to change at this time, actually, 43, 44, 45, but your soul came in to have all kinds of experiences. Have you had recent loss? Did you just end a relationship, or is there anything that we need to know about that?
No, nothing major.
Okay. Do you know how long you've been depressed?
I know I haven't been feeling happy for probably the last year, and I didn't really link it to depression, but it makes sense that that's what it is.
Can you tell us what happened in the last year?
Well, I started a new job a little over a year ago, and it's very overwhelming.
Okay. All right. So then that gives us a reason. Are you still overwhelmed, and do you not like your job, and would you rather make some changes?
Yeah, I would. I just feel like I'm trapped there because of income needs.
Well, it's a funny thing. We've got all these planets retrograde right now, and your chart is all about feeling changes. And as we go into this 43rd year, I suspect you're going to start making other different decisions on what you want to do. I would really think about, I understand being trapped financially. I get that. But there may be other things that you haven't looked at yet that may pay the same or something else. In other words, what I'm saying is do not give up. Keep going. Your soul actually came in, and you're what I would call a younger soul. So I would say, come in, figure out, find other things to do. Find some, first of all, is there a mother issue right now? Because I'm hearing mother. Is there a mother issue?
Yeah, there always kind of is.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What was that?
Yes, there's always an underlying mother issue.
Yeah, I got that there right away. Well, one of the things that I can say is speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself. You have a right to be here. I just keep hearing that over and over and over. You have a right to be here, that you personally wanted to be here, and you can't let anybody else get in your way. You cannot let anybody else get in your way. And I'm hearing that over and over and over. It's like I feel that you're down because somebody else is kind of you're living somebody else's life almost, and you come in to have your own a lot of emotional experiences. I would think there'd be ups and downs and all kinds of things here, which is always an interesting life. I always find it's a fascinating life. Just keep going. Just go out, meditate, do yoga, get yourself into some sort of spiritual place. I think it's going to help. And I'm going to tell you a lot of changes are going to start to come in because it's the kind of year we have, and it goes into your birthday at 43 where things really start to change. So I hope that helps.
Okay.
All right.
It sounds
Keep
like
us
also,
posted.
yeah, it feels like also you need to learn to set boundaries. I'm not sure. Are boundaries easy to set for you or no?
No. I was raised by guilt.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
So there we go. Catholic
Okay.
or Jewish? Yeah. So setting boundaries is going to be a really important thing to you. So use whatever's going on in your life right now, whether it's with your mom or anybody, is an opportunity to practice setting boundaries and feeling okay to set boundaries. And you may need someone to help you with that, a therapist or some kind of a support system to help you set boundaries and feel okay in doing so. Because it is hard. I mean, I'll never forget when I started therapy, I think 23, and I was wanting to move out at 23. Oh yeah, people move out much sooner. And my mother caught me looking at apartment ads. And she said, if you move out, your father's going to have a heart attack. And I remember I felt so guilty. And in therapy, my therapist really helped me, set boundaries. And I remember I went in there and I said, if dad has a heart attack, if I move out, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I left and I just felt so proud, but it was such a hard boundary to set. And I felt so guilty. And then I ended up moving out and I needed that support. When you're brought up with guilt, I mean, Catholic guilt, mine, because I'm not Jewish, I was Catholic, is the worst. But it's imperative to know how to set boundaries, because otherwise, as you mentioned, Kelly, you're living your life for somebody else and it's just not okay. And it'll cause you to feel depressed. At some point, it does zap your life energy.
Oh, it does. And really, you came in this lifetime to actually, Melissa, to have all kinds of experiences. So guilt was one of them. All right, let's move on to the next one. Think of it like that. Think like that, as Chakrapani used to say. Think like that. Yeah. All right. Thanks for calling.
Hope that helps, Melissa.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. John, do we have another caller?
We do. So we have area code 972. 972, you're on the line with Shirley and Kelly. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Carol, what's your birth date?
8564.
8564.
Okay. And how old are you? I always get confused.
54, right?
Ah, that's very good. 54. Okay. I love that. Okay, let me just say this. You are a powerhouse and you're stuck? I'm confused. You're a powerhouse, but you're stuck. Why are you stuck, Carol? Because you're going into another change right away. Are you depressed? Are you depressed?
Yeah, I do. I was the one on there that you told me to call.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Okay, I'm glad you did. Okay, so because you had a lot of fear, right?
Yes, anxiety, severe panic attacks.
It's funny, honey. You come in with so much power, and it's interesting that it's actually gone into, because you're somebody that actually has so much power, and that when you would go into a panic or depression, it's going to be huge. It's not like a normal one. It's going to be huge. Up and down would be huge. Is nobody letting you be yourself? Has that been an issue? Because again, you come in with power. You're a force, and yet you have some fear here. Is your husband, is anybody stopping you from living your life? Who's stopping you?
They're not doing it on purpose. I just kind of exist.
Boy, and so you only kind of exist. But is there a husband involved?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And what?
He works hard all day. Mm-hmm. He works hard all day, and then he likes to just get on YouTube or play, not games, the 3D thing.
Oh. So you don't have any attention? He doesn't give you any attention?
You're being ignored.
Yeah.
No, I am.
Okay. So is there anything that you can do on your own? Because again, I want to tell you what, you come in as a powerhouse and you could make some major changes right now as we speak. And also, did your mother and father pass? Because I have a man and a woman on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, I have them both on the other side. And I'm hearing that you were rambunctious. I'm hearing, I want to keep moving you. And I'm being directed almost by your mother to keep pushing you, like out of your shell. Like I don't know why you went into a shell here. I have no idea. Were you in an accident? I just heard that. Were you in an accident?
No.
Car accident early on?
Oh, when we were little with my mom in the car.
Yeah. Okay. That's the same thing. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's something with it, but that accident. I don't know if that. Are you the one that you have fear driving?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So something goes back to this accident. Something goes back just in general. I think you got so shook that it kind of went out of your body, kind of your soul kind of moved a bit. And we got to anchor that back in, because I think you're anxious and depressed. I don't think you ever connected back in right. I'll tell you what I would love for you to do. I'd love for you to really start taking care of yourself. That means really paying attention to what's good for you, what's not good for you. Doesn't matter what your husband does. In a sense, it kind of gives you some freedom. So I would start, if you're able to, go out, get some fresh air, start eating well, like maybe a light diet, plant-based, anything like that, something that's lighter than normal. Drink a lot of water, start taking care of yourself, meditate, learn to meditate. All of these things are going to shift you into a spiritual place, and that's going to help you, because then it pulls the soul right deeply where it needs to be, because you are a powerhouse. Completely. I just see it immediately. It's just you haven't connected to it, and I don't want you to waste that. I think it's important that you do that. And they're telling me that you love animals, and animals are really help you feel secure. So get that cat and hold on to that cat. I don't know why I'm saying cat, but just hold on to it. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. All right, honey. And do it. You can do it.
That we're not getting along.
What's your husband's birthday?
July 4th, 60.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, he's a handful. That's why. But sorry. I mean, United States is on July 4th. Think about that. I mean, he's a handful. I mean, he's got a lot of energy, and like you, ironically, he's got a lot of energy. I mean, but he's a handful.
It's wants and a lot of the same goals. It's just.
Mm-hmm. I think you would have a lot in common. I think you have to actually, as you get at 54, as you get into 55, your birthday's coming up. I think it means we all have an individual path. Okay. Just remember this. I'm saying this to everybody. We all have an individual path. I don't care if you're married. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your path is going to be different than his, but everybody has an individual path. Let's use this time of great planetary change to make those changes in our own life of what you came to do here. It doesn't matter what he's here to do. What did you come here to do? Start exploring your own self. And that's the time that we're in right now. And everybody needs to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to sit home and do nothing just because he wants to be home and his way of relaxing is playing, I think you said video games or something like that. You can find what your passion is.
Absolutely. And go for it. And keep us posted.
Yeah, please do.
Good for you. All right. Thanks for calling, Carol.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Carol.
Take care.
All right. So we have lots of callers, and we're almost out of time. So we could go into overtime if you'd like. We have 5 calls pending at the moment, so we can go into.
All right. Won't be able to, but we still have. Let's take one more call.
Okay. Yeah,
at least.
Yeah. Right. So let's do this. So go ahead and pick a number for me from 1 to 5.
5.
All right, so Eric.
Lucky number 5.
Area code 812 is on the line. 449. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Pam, and I'm calling from Indiana.
Pam from Indiana.
Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute. Shirley has a story about Indiana, and so do I. What part of Indiana?
My daughter's in Indiana.
I'm in southern Indiana.
My family is from southern Indiana, and they lived in Brown County. Have you ever heard of that?
Okay, well, I'm southern. Yes, I have.
It's a beautiful area.
That's great.
Kentucky line.
We might be related. I had like over 100 cousins. I mean, seriously. I know. I love southern Indiana. I love Nashville. Anyway, Pam, what's your birth date?
2161.
Oh boy. Okay. Interesting. Well, you're a powerhouse too, but you would come in with boy, you have this lifetime is serious business for you. Serious business.
Yeah.
It's a not an easy life, but not easy by any stretch. You're a workaholic too. What do you do? Because you've got a lot of work around you.
Well, I don't work outside the home. I lost my husband back in 2000, so I was a stay-at-home mom, and my kids are grown up, and I watch grandkids and that kind of stuff.
Well, he's around you. I just want to say this. He's around you, and I'm getting that he's very proud of you. And I'm getting that he's with your mom. Did your mom pass? Because I'm getting another woman over there. Looks like your mother.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because I'm just getting there's a whole thing. There's a whole family dynamic there. He wants me to make sure you know how much he loves you. He's telling me he's talking about a gold necklace and a diamond necklace and a necklace. He's talking about the necklace, and he's saying he loves you. And he said you did an incredible job, and thank you for taking care of him. You did an incredible job. You have to know that. In fact, he's around you, and I'm getting tingles all over my legs. So I don't know if that means he had trouble walking at the end, or if there was some sort of walking issue, or if you have a walking issue, because he wants to talk about walking. Did he have or did you guys go on walks together? There's something about walking here.
No, it is well, it has to be with the gold necklace. It has to be my husband. But I recently lost a younger brother.
Oh, no, this was your husband. Okay, did your younger brother have trouble with his legs?
Yes.
Okay, then they're both together. Then that's the family that's together. And I want to say, I'm hearing the name Dan or Daniel or with a D on that side as well.
Yes.
Okay, God bless him. He's there all together, honey. Don't worry, they're all together, and they want to send their love to you, and they want to talk about. I don't know why he's saying muskrat love. I don't know if that means that you and Kenny Loggins had you like that song, or I don't even know.
No, that would be Captain and Tennille.
Oh.
Captain and Tennille.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I heard that, but something about muskrats and something about critters and something about this. They're all together, and they're talking about a family reunion. You had one in Indiana, and it looks like they had one on the other side at the same time, like family reunions. Family reunions are important.
We had a pretty big Easter yesterday, so with family.
Yeah, and they had one on the other side at the same time watching this. So thank you for that. And they all send their love. And they're showing me that you're packing for something. So I don't know if that means you're packing for a trip or you're moving. Packing. Does that have anything to do with anything?
I was calling because I have the clutter issue.
Oh.
Get out of the funk for the clutter issue.
Oh, well, let's get that clutter issue cleared up because it's going to help you go through life actually much easier.
There's a really good series on Netflix for decluttering. Yes. So I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's the condo method. And and so it's all about what sparks joy in your life when you're going through.
Yes, I have heard.
You heard about
It's fabulous, John. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm curious. I didn't get to hear. Did that song "Muskrat Love" or something related to that?
No, I was trying to think of Captain and Tennille. I don't right offhand. That doesn't ring a bell with anything.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just heard Muskrat Love and the song went right through my head. I have no idea.
I'm glad to hear that my brother's okay and that he made it.
Oh yeah. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Not at all. They just want you to take care of yourself now, please, because you've taken care of everybody. So I'm really hearing that. Take care of yourself, love yourself. They love you. And they said to tell you that it's okay. Everything is okay. Okay.
Awesome. So awesome. I sure appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, honey. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to give a shout out to all our viewers from Goddess Central.
Yes.
And B, we love B.
Yes. Hi, B. And thank you so much for announcing us on your show. And if we have any viewers from your website, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling. And then we should talk about, before we hang up, our webinars.
Yeah.
Shirley and I have been working on 4 webinars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're going to be made available, I think, in about a month?
Yeah. They just have to be edited right now. Shirley and I are, This was a new experience.
Yeah, it was. It was. So you'll probably be able to tell which ones we taped later and which was the first one that we taped. But what are the topics? Attachment and relationships, toxic relationships, right?
And surviving suicide, which was a heavy one. It's about the people who survive. That. HSP, highly sensitive person, and empath. What's the difference?
Yeah. Lisa is saying, aloha. Always great to hear you guys and feel the energy. Thanks for being here. Oh, thank you, Lisa.
Oh, wait, let me just say this about Lisa. She is amazing. She and Heidi, her partner, are amazing. And they do dolphin, in Hawaii, they take you on the dolphin trips and the whale trips. And the shark, I think she's even swims with. I mean, she's amazing. You have got to look her up. So Lisa, I'm happy to put your site on our thing because you're amazing. I love the work that you and Heidi do. I love it, love it, love it. They're great gals, fabulous.
And what island do you know, Cal?
Yes, I do. The Big Island.
The Big Island. Okay, wonderful.
Yep,
wonderful.
What's our final show? I can't remember. What we did 4 webinars. What was the last one?
So that was it. We said it was toxic relationships, attachment and relationships,
HSP.
Suicide, and HSP. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those look at our website, and those will be made available. We'll announce it on the show.
And John, tell us about our guest next week.
Yeah, so our guest next week is the wonderful Rachel Lang, and she is an incredible. I worked with her in another position. On another network, and she's really an awesome woman, and she's going to be joining us to talk about astrology and the effects of the transits that are going on right now and how they're affecting us in our lives.
Wow, that's going to be a great show. So tune in, and thank you so much for watching. We really, really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Take care. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.